Okay, let's take a look at an example using the lab manual on how to create the binomial distribution, and then you can apply that same example for the problems you have for homework. We're going to use Statdisk to generate the distribution, and we're going to see how to find a single value and then also how to find the cumulative values. Taking a look in your lab manual on page 72, I believe it is. It may be different on yours. I think mine is a printed version. Yours might be a PDF. I'm not sure. So it's right here in chapter 5. If you want to just look, for this problem. In this problem, based on a recent Harris poll, 60% of adults believe in the devil. Assuming we randomly select 5 adults, find the probability that exactly 3 of the 5 adults believe in the devil. Like they couldn't have chosen a better topic. For this example, n equals 5, p equals 0.60, and the possible values of x are 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So the Statdisk procedure for finding probabilities with a binomial distribution would be to go to Analysis, then Probability Distributions, then Binomial Distribution, and then you enter in your information. So if you open up your Statdisk window, you're going to go under Analysis, Probability Distribution, and then come down to Binomial Distribution, and there is your window in which you will enter in your values. In this case, we are going to have up to 5 values, and our probability of success is 0.60, okay? Now, if you want to know a specific value, then you just enter that value right in here. If you don't have any cumulative values in which you are interested, you could just enter that value in here. So let's say we're just interested in the probability that 3 people have the belief. Then you could just enter in 3 and click Evaluate. And the only thing it'll generate for you are your values at 3 or fewer, or 3 or greater. So this would be at exactly 3 would be 34.5%. At 3 or fewer, and what that indicates is 0 people, 1 person, 2 people, or 3 people, totaled up, that's cumulative, 0, 1, 2, or 3, or 3 or greater, and that would be 3, 4, or 5 people, all totaled up together, okay? So that's only if you're interested in the values at 3, okay? So if we take that out of there and click Evaluate, then it's going to give me all of the values from 0 to 5. All right, so now I have all of my values. So what do all of these numbers mean? Let's take a look. I'm going to go to the next page here in your lab manual. See, now here they have the same table. They generated it for you in your lab manual, but it matches the table that we have here. And let's answer these questions. They ask from the display above, what are the values such as these? The probability of 2 or fewer correct responses. Probability of 2 or fewer, what does that mean? That means x, probability of x less than or equal to 2. So let's say we're talking about, oh, we don't want that color. Let's get a better color than that. Let's try green maybe. Okay, so if we're saying, well, first of all, let's say that probability, let's see what the differences are here. Probability of x equal to 2. What are we talking about there? Probability of x equal to 2 is right there, is 23%, 0.2304. So let's just say 0.2304. Okay, but then if we say probability of 2 or fewer, we're saying the probability of x less than or equal to 2. Well, what that is right here. So that is 0.3174. Okay, now let me show you where this number is coming from, just so you totally understand what's going on here. Less than or equal to 2, that's the cumulative value from here to here. If you take your calculator and you add, hold on, let me change colors here. If you add 0.010 0.24 plus, I don't know why my pen's not writing, 0.076800. You've got, I'm not going to put all the zeros because it's not necessary, and you've got 0.2304. If you add all of that up, you get 0.37 or 31744. So see, all of these make the cumulative value to here. Okay, that's why we call it the cumulative value. So the probability of x less than or equal to 2 gives us this, but Minitab goes ahead and does all of that addition for us. All right, so then this value right here is x or greater. So that tells us the probability of x greater than or equal to 2 would be equal to 0.91296. So what that is telling us, the probability that x is 2, 3, 4, or 5. So to get this value, I'm saying that I've got this one, this one, this one, and this one. So if you take your calculator and add those up, you're going to get this number, but Minitab is doing that for us. Okay, so we don't have to do it. So that's the cumulative value here. So the difference is going to be when you don't include those values is if you're just saying less than or if you're just saying greater than. That's when you're going to need to step back and not use this value right here. Like if you just say, if I say probability of less than, x is less than 3, well then I need to come and use the 2 instead of the 3 because I'm not including the 3. Okay, so that's what the cumulative values are coming from. All right, so let's look at the one that you do have to do for homework, and let's just change it up a little bit so that you can then do the one you have for homework. Cumulative probability here, number 5-7. Assume that the probability of having a boy is 0.5121. Out of 100 births that are randomly selected, use Statdisk to find the probability that the number of girls among 100 babies is each of these values. Well, let's use this to find the probability that the number of boys among 100 babies is this. So let's go into Statdisk and say the number of trials is 100 and the success, we're going to work with boys. So let's enter in the boys' success probability of 0.5121 and let's just enter in what we want to know. Now here we have two options. We can either evaluate the entire thing, which in other words we would leave this blank and evaluate the whole thing. We're going to come right down here, and since we're interested in fewer than 60, we're going to come all the way down here to 60. All right, now we don't want this one right here because this includes x or fewer. It includes the 60. Okay, we want this one because we want to start at 59. We don't want to include the 60. We want fewer than 60. We want to include 59 and below, which is 0.95177. Okay, now our other option would have been fewer than 60. We could have just put 59 right here and clicked evaluate, and there it is. Same thing right there. Okay, now if I wanted to do fewer than 48, I would put 47 and click evaluate, and I'm going fewer. Now at most 30. At most means it's going to include 30, okay? At most means no more than 30, but 30. So it's going to be less than or equal to 30. So we're going to include 30. So since 30 is our point, I'm going to put 30 in here, and I'm going to click evaluate, okay? So 30 or fewer. So there's my number right there, okay? And then at least 55. So I am interested in greater than or equal to 55. At the very least, it's 55, but it can be more than 55. Okay, so 55 is included. And there we go. 55 or greater. See, 55 or greater would be 0.2554578. And more than 40. Now, more than 40, that means 40 is not included. So that means I've got to be greater than 40, but 40 is not included. So that means I want to start at 41. So there we go. X or greater, 41 or greater is 0.984. And that's how we do it.